friends, welcome back to Storytime with Mr. Ellen. Today I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about choosing the right book, about finding the book that can make you a lifelong reader and someone who is going to be in love with reading for the rest of your life. But what it comes down to is that most readers and most students don't feel that way. They come into the library, they say, Mr. L, I don't love reading. I see it a lot in grades 3, 4, 5, and 6 when we really should be getting excited about books and excited about reading. They've already lost that passion. They've already lost that desire and that love to be reading. It has been, whether it's been taught out of them, whether they've just read boring things their whole lives, whether reading is too difficult, whether they spend too much time on technology. There's all these possible reasons, but that's not why I want to talk to you. What I want to talk to you about is how to find the book to make the change. So let me tell you a story. I always tell the kids, do you love reading? And of course, a few kids are always like, I love reading. And I say, great. But who doesn't love reading? And there's always a lot of students, half maybe, who don't love reading. They put their hands up slow and say, we don't love reading. And I say, well, that's okay, because when I was in 5th grade and 6th grade, I didn't love reading either. I didn't read very many books. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't read fast. It wasn't fun. It wasn't easy. And so I thought to myself, what is it about reading that makes a change? Now I try and read a book every 3 days. I want to read books all the time. I'm listening to books. I'm reading graphic novels. I'm reading chapter books. I'm reading nonfiction. Why? What made that difference for me and for other readers? And so what I find is that you need to find the book. That book that you make a connection with that makes you say, this is what reading is. Reading can actually be like this. I can read something and I can get this amazing feeling and this knowledge and this passion that comes with reading a great book. So I say to kids, look, when I was 13, I found that book. And I bought it in a bookstore, just randomly pulled it off a shelf, had no idea. Took this book home, and it took me a month to read, which I was pretty proud of myself in those days. And I fell in love with reading. And ever since I was 13, I've been in love with reading. Now I tell this to classes a lot, and they say, okay, that's great. That's a great story, Mr. Elwood. You know, whoop-de-doo. But what I love to tell is the story of my brother the reader. My brother, who, if you go to his house now, he has a library in his house. He has shelves piled high with books. He's got books in every room. But he wasn't always that way. My brother used to read 2 books a year. He would get a book for his birthday. He would take it up to his room on his birthday. He would sit down, he would read that book, and then he would finish it. He would come back and hand it to my parents and say, thanks. That was good. And then on Christmas, 6 months later, he would get another book for Christmas, and he would take it up to his room, and he would read it in one sitting, and he would come back and hand it to my parents and say, thanks. 2 books a year. Year after year after year. He never sought out a book. He never checked out a book from a library. He never bought a book in a bookstore. He never wanted to read books. He read 2 books a year. So a number of years ago, I can't tell you how many because that would make me old, I was staying with him and he was between jobs at the time and I was between jobs at the time, and we were hanging out together in Atlanta, Georgia. And I come down to breakfast one morning. I'm sitting there eating my cereal, and here he comes like this. Coffee. And I looked at him and I said, what is wrong with you? He said, well, I've been reading. And I looked at him and I said, I don't think that's true. You don't read. He said, I know, I don't read, but I have been. And I said, well, why do you look like this? I've been reading till 4 a.m. last night. I said, 4 a.m? Why? He said, I have been reading Harry Potter. Now, friends, let me tell you, before I became a teacher and before I became a librarian, I had not read Harry Potter. I didn't read Harry Potter until I was 27. All right, so at this point in time, in my early 20s, I had not read Harry Potter. I had heard of Harry Potter. I had maybe seen a Harry Potter movie. Maybe. My brother had read till 4 a.m. Harry Potter. And I said, how is it possible that you have been awake till 4 a.m. reading Harry Potter. He said, it's that good. He said, last night at 11, I said, I'm just going to read one more chapter. And one more chapter turned into 5 more hours. I said, what? Sort of mind-blowing, because I've always loved reading, but I've never loved reading like that. So sure enough, the next day, I'm at breakfast, and here he comes again. Coffee. And I looked at him, I said, again, with the Harry Potter. He said, well, yeah, there's more than one book in the series, and I'm still going. This happened, my friends, every night, night after night, and I just couldn't figure it out. And then I realized when my brother was 27 years old, he found the one. He found the book. It took him 27 years. What I found at age 13, what some people find when they're 5, he found when he's 27. And I tell students this, I say, don't give up on reading. Whether you find that book at 5, whether you find it at 13, whether you find it at 27, don't give up, because that book exists for everyone. It might be a fiction book. It might be a chapter book. It might be a graphic novel. It might be nonfiction. It might be a picture book. It might be something that you want to read over and over and over again. You know those students who are like, hey, this is my 84th time reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Great. They love to read. They found something that they love and that they cherish. But it all comes down to finding that one book. So if your kids and your students haven't found it yet, don't give up hope. Tell them not to give up hope, because that book exists for all of us, whether you are a child, a teenager, or an adult. So my message today is that finding that book is so important. And we won't find it if we don't keep trying, if we don't keep picking up new books and trying new books and reading new books, 50 pages here, 50 pages there, giving things a chance. Because once you find it, your life as a reader is completely amazing. It's going to just blow your mind. And if you've already found that book, congratulations. Share that book with somebody else. Friends, that's all I've got for you today. Have a great day. Happy reading. Bye.